Dear Scar, you are not named after one of my grandsons, but I chose you, I guess, for something that happened yesterday. But you are one of the worst Disney villains, I guess, just for the fact that you killed Mufasa, who's like one of the OGs of Disney. There are dogs that cry with Simba, dogs watching The Lion King that cry when they see Simba crying. But Scar, I do like your Be Prepared song. I'm not Christian anymore, and one day I was listening to Be Prepared on my music playlist, and I was like, this sort of sounds like the Christian second coming Jesus, when I hear the lyrics to Be Prepared. But sorry to all the believing Christians out there if they ever see this. But listen to Be Prepared again and tell me that it doesn't sound a little like the second coming stuff. But I chose you, Scar. I don't know, I just came up with it 5 minutes ago, but yesterday there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump at a rally. So today's date is July 14th. And yesterday Donald Trump was at a rally in Pennsylvania, and let me read what's going on. Okay, so there's an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. A bullet grazed Trump's ear and drew blood. He drops to the deck, and his Secret Service rushed to the stage to cover him and eventually get him to his car. Snipers returned fire at the assassin. He was on the roof of a building that was about 170 yards away. The shooter was killed. He was a 20-year-old man named Thomas Matthew Crooks. He used an AR rifle and fired at least six shots. One man was killed in the stands, and 2 more men were critically injured. Trump himself, he's not seriously injured from current reports. Like I said, I think his right ear was just grazed. And this basically ignited him and his entire MAGA supporters even more in winning this upcoming election in 4 months. So I was delivering at the time when I heard the news, and yeah, I think yesterday night it was the only thing that was being broadcasted over the news for hours and hours. I think even today, because it's a big deal. It's been since 1981, I think, since Ronald Reagan was his attempted assassination. Ronald Reagan. Yeah. So, anyways, today's video is going to be, to continue the Trump stuff. Yeah, he's still gonna run, 100%. This is only going to make him more adamant about running and winning. President Biden is going to be running against him still, as far as we know, even though there's many Democrats who want him to step down now. And it'll be interesting to see if this attempted assassination will unite the country, both sides, which I kind of doubt it, or if it'll make things worse. We still have one more presidential debate coming. I'm not sure when. Maybe September is my best guess. And I'm sure that the spirit in that debate will be very different than the first debate that happened a couple weeks ago. Okay, so this video is about the things that happened between April and June of 2024. Going into the U.S. news and politics, Caitlin Clark is the biggest name in women's college basketball. She and her Iowa college team was defeated in the championship by South Carolina. UConn beat Purdue in men's college basketball. They became the first back-to-back men's college basketball champion in 17 years. Arizona Supreme Court revived a ban on almost all abortions. It renewed a law that was made back in 1864. The NFL star O.J. Simpson, considered one of the greatest running backs of all time. He was also, back in the day, accused and acquitted of murdering his wife in the 90s. And he just died at 76 years old. Donald Trump became the first former president to stand trial in a criminal case. The crime was falsifying business records to make hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels, who claims she had sex with Donald Trump before his 2016 presidential election. He had a gag order placed on him for making slandering comments about the judge and his family. Trump violated the gag order 10 times, which made the judge eventually threaten him with jail time. The New York jury found him guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records, making him the first former president convicted of a felony. So in basic terms, they're accusing him of having sex with a porn star, but making the payments seem like business transactions for his records, just to keep that a secret that he had an affair. Biden is trying to cancel $7.7 billion instead of student debt for 160,000 borrowers. Some global warming news: temperatures hit record highs in the southwest states and on the eastern coast. Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, was found guilty of lying about his drug use in order to buy a gun in 2018. He is the first child of a sitting president to be criminally convicted. This happened just about 1 or 2 weeks after Trump was convicted with 34 felony charges. The Boston Celtics won the NBA championship for the 18th time. They beat the Dallas Mavericks, and I think that makes the Boston Celtics the leading team with the most NBA championships now. Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, became the first state to require that the 10 Commandments be displayed in all public school classrooms. A few weeks later, Oklahoma ordered all of its public schools to use the Bible in their curriculum. And then, like I said, Trump and Biden had their first presidential debate at the end of June. Biden's voice was very hoarse and whispery, and he trailed off in some of his sentences. Trump was still very arrogant and just still very Trump. One of the dumbest parts of the debate was where they were bickering between each other like schoolyard boys about who would win in golf. And it was kind of embarrassing. I already did that one. And yeah, like I said, so this is news from April to June, but yeah, I just told you about the attempted assassination that happened yesterday because it's the biggest thing that just barely happened, but that happened in July 13th. Okay, this is world news now. Taiwan was struck by its largest earthquake in 25 years. We had another total solar eclipse. The last one happened back in 2017. My own parents went to Texas to witness the totality. I have never witnessed a totality yet. There was an assassination attempt on the Prime Minister of Slovakia. I had to look up where Slovakia is. It's a small country in the middle of Europe. Iran's president and foreign minister were killed in a helicopter crash, and the tensions are still high between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. The U.S. gave Ukraine permission for the first time to use American weapons to hit targets inside Russia. Keeping on the same topic with Russia, Kim Jong-un, the president of North Korea, pledged his full support for the Russia war in Ukraine when Vladimir Putin visited North Korea for the first time in 24 years. G7 leaders, I think G7 is some kind of just big meeting between a lot of leaders of different countries about the state of the world affairs. So G7 leaders agreed to loan Ukraine $50 billion. President Biden and the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, signed a 10-year security deal. I'm not sure exactly what that deal entails. There are hundreds of Muslim pilgrims who died in the 120-degree Fahrenheit extreme heat during their journey to Mecca, during their pilgrimage. And I think they consider that actually to be like quite a great honor to die during that pilgrimage that they make. It's a very religious, holy journey for them. And last world news, Mexico elected its first ever female president. Okay, so new deaths, famous deaths that joined the Night King's army. The first one that I already mentioned was O.J. Simpson. And then baseball legend Willie Mays. He's considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time. He died at the age of 93. And then Donald Sutherland. I best know him as he was President Snow in the Hunger Games trilogy. Donald Sutherland dies at age 88. Okay, so that's U.S. and things that have been happening in the U.S. and in the world. And so a bit about my personal life now. At the end of May, June, Memorial Day weekend, I think that's the end of May, I took a week vacation. I drove down to Arizona. I went camping with my old college buddy. His name is Christian. We went out and we camped out on the Black River on the San Carlos Apache Reservation. Nothing crazy happened. It was just with him and his family, and there were probably about 20 of us total, including a couple little kids. But the only notable thing that happened was it seemed like everyone except for me was able to catch a fish. And, you know, we went out and fished 3 or 4 days, and I tried at least 2 or 3 of those days, but yeah, they kept catching fishes, and they just avoided me like the plague. On the return trip, my car broke down, and I had to pay for a $700 repair job to replace my car's cooling system. It messed up my plan to visit my younger sister in St. John, so that was a little bit sad. And I chose a complicated financial path of returning to Salt Lake City in time to get back to work while my car was being fixed. And instead of providing all the nitty-gritty details, it involved 2 plane tickets and biking to work, and I got a flat, and paying a bike shop to fix the flat, but they took 4 days to do so because I was just in a big queue. And so while my bike was out of commission, I had to take the bus, I one-wheeled, and sometimes I Ubered to work. In hindsight, I made handling my car breakdown emergency a lot more complicated than it needed to be, and my wallet suffered as a consequence. But that's why we have emergency funds. And the last weird new update in my life is I have a pretty big crush on a coworker who is 8.5 years older than me. And even worse, I let her know about it but alas, she is taken. But she has taken it very well, and we still talk. And anyways, I finished Harry Potter books 6 and 7. I don't need to show them to you. I greatly enjoyed reading Harry Potter my second time. It took me from about November 2023 to April of 2024 to plow through the Harry Potter books, and I forgot how awesome book 7 was, especially the Hogwarts battle. I was loving reading the end of Harry Potter 7. And I wrote down some quotes from the King's Cross chapter where Harry is almost dead and he's talking with Dumbledore in a figment of his imagination. And there's 3 Dumbledore quotes that I wrote down. Movies that I've watched during these past 3 months. I've watched Dune 1 for the first time, even though it's been out a while. And I watched Dune 2 almost immediately after. I watched all 4 Matrix movies, some of them for the first time. I've seen the original Matrix before, but this is the first time I watched 2, 3, and 4. I'm not even sure if I finished 4. But they're fascinating. Agent Smith is kind of a fun bad guy to watch. I watched Abigail. It's a horror vampire movie. That was a fun movie. I don't really watch horror movies very much. I watched A Million Ways to Die in the West. It was a very funny, raunchy Western comedy. And I will watch it again eventually. It made me laugh quite a bit. And I watched The Fall Guy. It just came out recently. That's with Ryan Gosling. It was alright. Anyways, I've slowed down on playing video games these past few months. But one notable one I've been playing, trying to get through, is called Blue Fire. It's Zelda-esque. Maybe Zelda meets Hollow Knight. It's a 3D fun game. Okay, so that's that. And the last video I did a rain check on my questions for humans. It was, what's a phrase you'd like to have etched on your tombstone? I didn't really think too hard about it, but when I was finishing Harry Potter, one of the Dumbledore quotes that I talked about, he talks about death, and I don't know if this would really be super cool to put on a headstone, but Dumbledore is talking to Harry, and he says, "You are the true master of death, because the true master does not seek to run away from death. He accepts that he must die and understands that there are far, far worse things in the living world than dying." And I like that because even though I do not believe in the Mormon afterlife anymore, and I'm agnostic, and I hope that life continues after death, but I think it's a very good way to live life, just not fearing death, knowing that all of us are going to die at some point. All of us have an expiration date, and we don't know exactly when or how that is going to happen, but it will, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And so if we embrace that fact and just live a good life that we would be proud of, even though it might not matter in the end, just make the most of your life, and don't fear something that happens to everybody. And I will end with a new questions for humans. I think I already did that one. Let's see. Here's a pretty interesting one. Would you rather be able to meet your great great grandparents or your great great grandchildren, and why? Well, first off, I would like to meet both of them, but I think I would rather meet my great great grandparents. Especially during like the prime of their lives, just to see how they were, because I basically am a direct product of them. Um, but I mean, this channel is called Dear Grandson, so it would be awesome to meet my great great grandchildren, but um, however imaginary they are. But yeah, that's all. Thanks for visiting me in the past, and I'll see you back in the future. Thanks. Bye.